Romans chapter 1. Romans chapter 1. We're going straight into the Word of God. Romans chapter 1, reading from verse 21. Romans chapter 1, reading from verse 21. I thought that you would be seated for a good something, so you'll be going to stand with me. I know you love to stand, so you're ready to stand in your midst. God. Romans 1, reading from verse 21.
Yes.
For although they knew God, they neither glorified Him as God, nor gave thanks to Him. But their thinking became futile, and their foolish hearts were darkened.
Yes.
Although they claimed to be wise, they became fools, and exchanged the glory of the immortal God for images made to look like mortal men and birds and animals and reptiles. Therefore, God gave them over in the sinful desires of their hearts to sexual impurity, for the degrading of their bodies with one another. They exchanged the truth of God for a lie, and worship and serve created things rather than the Creator, who is forever praised. Amen.
Amen.
Let me go on a little further. Because of this, God gave them over to shameful lust.
Yes.
Even their women exchanged natural relations for unnatural ones. In the same way, the men also abandoned natural relations with women and were inflamed with lust for one another. Men committed indecent acts with other men and received in themselves the due penalty for their perversion. Furthermore, since they did not think it worthwhile to retain the knowledge of God, He gave them over to a depraved mentality, a reprobate mind, to do what ought not to be done. They have become filled with every kind of wickedness, evil, greed, and depravity. They are full of envy, murder, strife, deceit, malice. They are gossips, slanderers, God-haters, insolent, arrogant, boastful. They invent ways of doing evil. They disobey their parents. They are senseless, faithless, heartless, ruthless. My God. Although they knew God's righteous decree that those who do such things deserve the penalty, they not only continue to do those very things, but they also approve of those who practice them. God bless you. Take your seat.
My God.
The problem not in America. And we want to talk tonight about a problem that is not the United States problem. It is not a Western world problem. It's a global problem. It's a problem that's in China. It's a problem that is in Israel. It's a problem that's in Russia. It's a problem that's in Trinidad and Tobago. It's a problem right here in Boston. As a matter of fact, Massachusetts is the first state that gives a license to say it is illegal to do something that God condemns. And there's a cause, there's a reason why we are behaving the way we are behaving. The reason. And as we look at the scriptures, the scripture clearly tells us the reason why we see what we see in our day. I believe that we just gave license. It was happening way back then. This what we are seeing today didn't just happen. But what the Lord has done, He has given to the Apostle Paul revelation knowledge as to why it's happening. Because these things were hidden for generations. But like Paul says, that these mysteries, these things were revealed in this generation today. So people of God, people today, have more knowledge as to why these things are happening. Looked at Apostle Fraser, that someone from his own household will walk up to him and pump 5 bullets into him. Today in the city of Boston, there's a young man, and Deacon Frank is not here tonight. He had to go to a funeral today for a young man who was slain in Boston, who I knew his father quite well. Young man in Boston that someone decided to end his life. To end someone's life today means nothing. Told you guys about, I went to the court with the family, and there I was sitting in the court with the family grieving over the loss of her only son. And she's grieving and crying, and they brought in this young man inside in the courthouse, and he had chains like an animal. They chained him like an animal. That's the other chain on his feet. They had a chain around his waistline. As he's walking, he heard clatter, clatter, clatter. And he's walking in, and you have these big security guard officers of the courts walking in side by side with him. One on each side holding his arm, and one behind him as they're walking in, and he's chewing gum. As though he has no clue of what's happening. And I want somebody to read a scripture before I get into your notes. It's taken from Psalms 58. Can somebody read from Psalms 58, please? I just want you to read from, I think, verse 3. Psalms 58. Yes, from verse 3. Somebody give a microphone. Somebody get a microphone over here. Thank you.
Psalms 58 and 3.
Yes, thank you.
Even from birth, the wicked go astray.
Let's just pause it. Don't read too fast. I just want to think for a moment. Even from what?
Birth.
The womb.
Wow.
Even from birth. They didn't even enter the world as yet. Yes, go ahead, please.
They are wayward.
Yes, go ahead.
Spreading lies.
Yes.
Their venom is like the venom of a snake, like that of a cobra that has stopped its ears, that will not heed the tune of the charmer, however skilled the enchanter may be.
Thank you so much. I just want to read those few verses for you to see what we are dealing with. Even for someone to look at you funny, or you look at someone funny, they could end your life. And even though the police may come to arrest them, they may fight the police, or they may do something stupid, try to shoot at the policeman because of the times we're living in. So we have seen an increase of what the Bible talks about, an increase of the violence. So the cause. Back in your notes, the cause is recorded right there. He said, number 1, because he condemns men for suppressing the truth. So we know what is truth. We know what is right. But we choose to suppress it. Let's take for instance. Every single man that's born in the face of the earth has a knowledge that God placed in them that he exists. Even though that person may claim to be an atheist, God has placed inside of every single human being something that is called a conscience. Come and say it to me, please. Conscience. The conscience speaks to you and tells you, even if you don't go to church, that something is wrong. Talk to me, somebody. Everybody. That child over there knows when something is wrong. And in order for that child to do what's wrong, he sneaks. I'm going to show you how deceptive he knows, because he knows that something is wrong. He tried to do it, but he won't do it publicly. That's what he sneaks, because it's a natural response. So we suppress the truth. We know what's right, and what we have done in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts is that we says it's okay to live a lie. Some people believe that you can just do what you want. There's a bumper sticker that says if it feels good, do it. So basically, there is nothing wrong. That's what they're saying. Everything is right. As a matter of fact, in Judges, the Bible says everyone did what? Just like in everyone else. We are right back there. Everybody did what it feels right back there. And if you tell me something about what I'm doing, then I kill you. So therefore, you cannot tell me that what I'm doing is wrong. Because there's no wrong. Everything is right. See, the suppressed truth. Number 2, he condemns men for ignoring his revelation. So even though the conscience tells them, even though society says that that thing is right, your conscience would speak to you and says, it is wrong. It's wrong for me to leave my wife and go and sleep with another woman. Come and talk to me, brothers and sisters. It's wrong. It is wrong for an adult to molest a child. He could never molest a child and say it's right. He could never. It is wrong for a man to sleep with another man. And even though society and the law says it's right, and even though they have all kinds of promotions saying it's okay, it is not okay. It's time for the church to stand up for what the Bible believes. I know that this is, and please hear me, I'm not speaking against anybody, and there are some of us that are family members who are in those lifestyle. I'm not condemning folks. I'm showing you the reason why God has allowed this to happen. Simply because we have ignored who He is. We refuse to admit that He exists. And number 3, He condemns man for perverting His glory. So instead of us giving Him what He deserves, we have created something else to replace God. And what we've done, we have made the church God. We've made the building God. We've made the preacher God. We've made our cars God. We made our spouses God. We made other things God and God. So what we have done is that we replace God with things. So we do not acknowledge God for who He is. And today there are thousands of people that hold the pastor as their God. I'm talking to you. I know what I'm talking about. There are people who hold the bishop. And if the bishop falls, they're gone. They're gone. If the pastor falls, they're in trouble. Because they see the pastor as God and not God. And not God, the God of the pastor. Amen. So the Bible says that because of these 3 reasons, you can read right in the Bible, because of these 3 reasons from verse 21 to verse 24, these 3 reasons, God says, because of these 3 reasons, I'll let you have your own thing. You can do what you want. That's what the Bible says. Because you don't acknowledge me, because you do not want me, then guess what? You're on your own. Let me see if you can live without me. That's what God did. He just stepped aside and said, let me watch you. And I was at that funeral, and a young man came to me and asked me, Pastor, if God so loved us, then why did He let that happen on 9/11? And I said to him, but that's not God, that's our doing. We told God, we don't want you. We told God, keep out of our business. Keep out of our schools. Watch it. I'm going to show you how bad this is. Even in the schools, you can't even mention the name Jesus. In the White House, the President of the United States is having prayer meeting in there. And guess what? All hell breaking loose. Because they said, no, you can't do that in the White House. But he's saying, but who said I can't do it here? America is the land of the free. He's having prayer meeting right there in the White House. Yes, there may be some things that he's doing that you and I don't approve of, but he's the only president. I know. It's calling for a prayer meeting before decisions are being made. Wow! President of the United States. And there are some of us who are condemning him. Let's move on. So because of these things, the Bible says, God gave men over to the sinful desires of their hearts. So we have today craziness happening. Young baby, 3 years old, that the boyfriend took kill the baby and dump the body off in Kentucky. I'm sure you guys heard about it too. Nonsense. How can a big man rape a baby? You see, he's senseless. You see the Bible says senseless. There is no part inside there that has any feeling. It's like the fellow is coming into prison and he's chewing gum. He is being tried for murder. But because have no clue. Have no clue. Police arresting somebody, the policeman pull over somebody and says, "Can I have a license and registration?" What are you pulling me over for? I mean, that policeman got two things by his waist. Listen, he pulls me over even though he is wrong. May I have your license and registration, please? Officer, it's right in there. Can I get it, please? Thank you, sir. There you go, officer. You was driving too fast. Here's your ticket. Thank you, officer. God bless you. Bye. I'm not giving him any mouth because I don't have anything by my side. And all you got to do, I'm a black man, and especially I'm in a white community. I don't care how much camera I have on me. My life is worth more. My life is worth more. Bible said. So God gave us over to the sinful desires. But not just sinful desires. But the first thing that the Lord did, He let man loose to do crazy things. Sexual impurity. For the degrading of their bodies with one another. Because when two people come together, it's not just physical. See? It's spiritual.
Spiritual, that's right.
It's spiritual. That's why sexual immorality is blatantly wrong. I have been talking more about this on Sunday morning. We're talking to Father's Day. Because people believe that you can just sleep with Tom, Dick, and Harry. And man, it's just a good time. And men sit down and they talk about, man, I slept with this girl. And I've heard some of them say, some girls say, I slept with 100 men. I'm talking, what? Do you know how many spirits are in you, girlfriend?
Wow.
Sexual perversion. They exchange the truth about God for a lie. And God just said, because you don't want me, I'm going to let you loose. And the results of man condemnation. What we see taking place in the world today is a direct result of God's judgment and condemnation because of man's behavior. Lately seems to be getting from bad to worse. God did not just give up on His creation, but He wanted men to see their own failure and allow to control of the rule of their lives would only lead us to a condition of pure reprobate or depravity. 3 times the Apostle Paul mentioned God gave them over. You find the 3 times there in verse 24, 26, and verse 28, meaning that God abandoned mankind. There is no restraint. That means that there is absolutely no restraint to what man is capable of doing. And the only reason why we are not like them is because of Christ in us.
Yes, amen.
What we are talking about tonight. Oh, and thank God for those of you that are in Bible study and learn some truths. But there are a lot of people that are in the church that are doing this mess. And you know, there are some pastors that are sleeping around with sisters, having babies all over in the church. And guess what? And the people are still sitting there on Sunday morning. That's my pastor. You know I'm talking the truth. I mean, you're going to be with that buster. Look, you know you're talking the truth. It's the truth. It's the truth. There are men that pastors are having babies all over the church. And nobody, that's my pastor. He could sing and he could play the piano. Yeah. Stay right there. Okay, let's move on. Therefore, God gave them over to the sinful desires of their hearts, to sexual impurity, for the degrading of their bodies. A primary sign of God's abandonment against society of people is that the people became so obsessed with all kinds of sexual immorality and perversion What we see today, you barely can take up the papers and you have an accusation from the White House to the gutter. The term sinful desires denotes a passionate lust for forbidden sexual pleasures. And you have some scripture references that I put there in your notes. One of the first behavior of man is seen in his sexual behavior. The enemy has really plunged humanity into a sex-craved society. This is heavy stuff. Because now, anything that society wants to promote, they promote something sexual.
Yes, true. Yeah.
They want to sell this ball, you see up there, woman. Yeah. They want to sell a shirt, it's a woman. They're selling a man pen. They want to sell a pen. Guess what? You see a woman up there half naked. So sexual. Come on, you drive around in our city, you see it. He knows that all restraint, the devil knows that all restraint has been removed because the God who designed sex for the primary purpose of reproduction has now been removed. So that which God has called sacred, society says it's pleasurable just to use for men. So, little children. I was in McDonald's picking up some coffee, and while I'm sitting there, there are two little girls. You could see the mother's milk in their cheeks. See, they're standing right there kissing. Two little girls. They couldn't be more than 12 years old. You're watching these two little babies. Can't even wash a kerchief. Both of them are kissing. And I'm wondering, my God, that's the stuff that they see on television. And because television is saying that it's okay, then they believe it's okay. And you see in schools. You walk in schools, you see the rainbow flag. They're promoting. I mean, I went to my grandson to the library yesterday, and they have all the flags up there. And the woman who was giving the tour guide, she says, I want you all to know that this library is for all people. And she's stressing, for all people. Point to the flag. All people. I'm saying, why don't you shut up? Talking to our babies. You know, we have little kids. Little kids. She's stressing the all people because she wants them to know you're welcome in here too. You know? You see, I'm talking to you, but I want you guys to see what a big assignment that we have as a church. We're really fighting against something that's big. This is not just a little matter. It's a big problem we're fighting against when we're talking about it. Man has now become like a runaway train. Society has been promoting sex in all forms, and this has resulted in all kinds of problems in society. From diseases to women having children for various men with no one to care for them. People are behaving like animals. Fornication and adultery seems to be the norm for our lifestyle today. God warns us against this behavior, especially in the area of sexual immorality. God abandoned mankind for sexual perversion. Because of this, God gave them over to shameful lust. Now, God called it shameful. Right? If God called it shameful, it has to be shameful. It has to be shameful. God gave them over to shameful lust. Even their women exchanged natural sexual relations for unnatural ones. In the same way, men also abandoned their natural relation with women and were inflamed with lust for one another. How could a man be inflamed with a lust? We need to really think about this. How could... No, we can't shoot them. Because it's not normal. It's spiritual. It is spiritual. For a man to leave his wife and children and go and marry to another man. For a woman who's married to a man, has their children, and she said to him, you know, I'm tired of you, don't want to be with you anymore. And she leaves and go and marry another woman. And God judges those pastors who are committing those wedding ceremonies. So in the state, and I was just talking to my wife, I said, and even in this Commonwealth, the bathrooms.
Yes.
So the bathrooms.
Yeah.
The bathroom now is no longer his or men and women, it's anything. So a man could walk into a bathroom that belongs to a woman. And my granddaughter could be inside there.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God. Yes.
Just showing you. I mean, yes, go ahead.
Pastor, we have to be careful because in some colleges now,
Wait.
A lot of times.
but that they also updated that. Not only bathroom, but in some of the colleges, they have showers where now men and women share.
Wow.
You have to be careful there.
So the showers, the bathrooms. So now my grandkids, I mean, Daddy, I need to go to the bathroom. That means that I have to go to the bathroom. And suddenly I wait for my daughter, I wait for my granddaughter, I wait for my son. What kind of nonsense is that? And our leaders, I say, nope, that's the way we want it. That's the way we want it. And I'm talking to you guys and I'm burning inside. You know, I'm burning inside. Because the reason I'm burning inside because I sat there in the garden auditorium of the State House speaking against this very same thing. And we pastors, I'm not talking about you the parishioners, I'm talking about we the pastors, a bunch of us as the pastors were sitting right there in the garden auditorium saying, this bill we want to pass here. They had no consideration for children who are not yet born. None. The pastors in Boston is responsible for Massachusetts being the first state in the union to pass that bill. It's not the politicians. The enemy has crept into that church. And therefore the politicians sat there and look at us, the pastors. Some of us have on our robes and our collar. And they are saying, if the church can't get it together, we have no choice. So let's pass this bill. So pass the bill. America has, listen, there are millions of babies that are being aborted because of what we're talking about tonight. Just saw somebody sent me some clip of someone deliver a baby and put the baby in a trash bag by the trash.
Yes. Yep.
That's not a doll.
Jesus.
That's a living human being. But because of this, don't be surprised if you hear some people eating babies. Cannibalism.
Yeah.
Pastor Cooper,
Yes.
I saw something. I saw something on Facebook the other day. A dog. He had so many puppies, and he couldn't feed all of them. Some of them were, malnourished because he couldn't feed all of them. And the owner put some of them in a box to give them away. And when he was opening the door, the dog, the mother, he raised up and put his hand over the man. Each time he put his hand on the doorknob, he put his hand down. He don't want to give away his babies.
You see?
He was so sad. And then he fed him. He gave him bottles. And he was so exhausted and tired. The dog went and pulled the blanket over him, covered him, and went and lie beside him and hugged him. The owner. It was so sad.
It's just to show you. So the animals get better sense than us.
Exactly. Yep.
The animals. Let's go now. I'm moving now in this line. Shameful lust, meaning passions of disgrace. This includes both sexes engaging in sexual behaviors that is not natural or normal. The only natural sexual relationships the scriptures teach are heterosexual ones. And you find the scriptures there within marriage, within the covenant of marriage. You know, and I thank God for His forgiveness. Hadn't God forgiven us, well, a bunch of us would not be here today. Because so many of us were involved in these activities before we came to Christ. And the things that now that we came to Christ, instead of us revealing and exposing the works of the enemy, we suppress it. And it says to folks, oh nice, okay, you could live with that girl, you could shack up. Yeah, that's considered, you know, you're considered marriage. Yeah. There's some things that are wrong, and there are some things that are right. We cannot condone something that is wrong.
Amen.
And I just want you guys to know that. So if, and just as you know tonight, if you have a family member who is involved in a lifestyle that is not according to scriptures, and they want to get married, please don't consider asking Pastor. You can kindly ask Pastor Ewan over here.
Not me.
Please know that the pastors of destiny,
not do it.
Amen.
Not do it.
and one of the reasons, Brother Theo, why pastors are involved in this is because pastors are receiving the dollars from the government. So because of the money, then they can't say no.
That's right.
So these churches has to perform this ceremony or they lose their funding. And I know some in Boston talking to you, and they're right before my eyes. And they say, well, we are, you know, well, you got to get soft towards this thing, you know. I was a part of, it's called the Boston Pastors Prayer Summit. Every April, we go away for 3 days of consecration. Pastors come together, different walks of life, different pastors, different denominations, just come together in the Salvation Army place there in Sharon, Mass. For 3 days, we get there from Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, come back Thursday night. And for years we've been doing this. And one year I didn't get an invite from them. So I called the person, the coordinator, and says, what happened? I mean, did you all forget me? You all forgot my email or something? I said, oh, no, cool. We didn't forget you. What happened? We decided not to have it this year. Why you decided to have it? Because half of the pastors is soft towards same-sex marriage. And they are fighting against the pastors who oppose it. So therefore, they can't come together to agree on this matter. So they decided to squash pastors' prayer retreat. It was a blessing to have the pastors pray together. In this city, let me let you know something about this city of Boston. This city that we call our city, I've been praying against. I want you to know this city of Boston is a very liberal city. There are pastors in this city that they talk about prayer. They don't believe. The only time they pray is over the food, when they're blessing the food to eat. Thank you, sir. These pastors in the city, you mention prayer, and the first thing they tell you, you must have belonged to destiny. because of the fact that the kind of prayer that you guys are talking about, we don't do that. We may pray once a month, but none. Praying every day? Oh no. So what we're doing is running against the grain. And please be prepared for some persecution.
Amen.
Telling you all now. Because Pastor Cooper ain't gonna stop.
Amen.
And I'm not performing no ceremony between two women or two men.
Amen.
And I'm not going if you should invite me. You could be a pastor in this house and you have a family member that is two same-sex when I get married. Please don't send me an invite. I'm telling you no. And don't ask me to send something in my card either. No. I'm not saying that anything in the card either. Amen. Man don't even get the card back from me. Alright. Let's go now. So I'm saying, you know now, and it's the pity church isn't there, the whole church is not here tonight to hear this. Alright, let's go now. Shameful lust, meaning passions of disgrace. This involves both sexes engaging in sexual behaviors that are not natural or normal. The only, of course, I read that before. And let's go now. All indecent and lustful activities have within them the seeds of God's punishment. Verses 28-32. Furthermore, just as they did not think it's worthwhile to retain the knowledge of God, so God gave them over to a reprobate mind or a depraved mentality, so that they do what ought not to be done. Come on, brothers and sisters. What Paul is describing here is revelation knowledge that he received from Almighty God, that men are doing some stuff that ought not to be done, and our government says it's okay. You know, I'm just wondering how many of us got guts to stand up against this kind of stuff, because that would be called for.
Yes.
Because if God says something is wrong, then it's got to be wrong.
Yes.
Let's just use an everyday example for a moment. If I took my car for an oil change, and when I got there, they changed oil, and they put the oil where the oil is supposed to go, right? The section of the engine that they are supposed to go. And let us say that they decide, I don't think this car deserves to have oil there. Let's put some gas in that section. And take the oil and put the oil where the gas is supposed to go. You ruined the car.
Yes.
Come talk to me, somebody.
Yes.
When God designed a man,
Come on.
He designed the man in a specific way.
Yes.
And He designed the sisters in a specific way.
Yes.
Sisters were not designed like brothers. It doesn't matter if they wrestle and they could be stronger than us. Yes, they are sometimes. But I'm telling you, women are different from men.
Yes.
And God placed two sexes on the earth. And last Sunday, I mentioned in my message that God says, tell the men to get a male animal.
Yes.
You see, he's not talking about a female. There's a reason why God says the male. The reason why. Because men or male are different from female. And they have different purposes on this earth. My grandson and my granddaughter are not the same. You know, I mean, I was looking at both of them as I was taking care of their tongue and looking at their mouth, and I'm looking at both of them and I said, honey, have you ever noticed these two children? She says, what's wrong? I said, look at their tongues. Their tongues are totally different. Even though they came from the same mother and the same father, their tongues are totally different. And I'm looking at them and saying, God, you are amazing to show us, even though a man may have 10 children, or you may have 5 children. Each one of them are different. Oh, that God that's amazing can do that, man. Let's go now. Let's go now. I got some more here. I'm going now. They did not think it's worthwhile to retain. They have become filled. Mankind have become filled with every kind of wickedness, evil, greed. They're full of envy, murder, strife, deceit, and malice. And I took some time to just list these as you go down here. The mental vacuum created by man by dismissing God is being filled with 4 forms of active sins, and they are there: wickedness, evil, greed, and depravity. All of them are considered depravity. These 4 sins express themselves in the 17 more specific types of wickedness. First 2 types, envy and murder. Envy, to feel an uneasiness, mortification, and discontent. at the sight of superior excellence, murder, and you have all of them listed there. You guys can look at them. So I'm going to go all the way down and try to finish chapter 1 tonight. All the way. No understanding. Amen. Look at that. No understanding. They are inconsiderate. They are foolish. And it's bad when you have a politician in that position. No fidelity. No love. God bless you. Without natural affection. This expression denotes the lack of affection regarding towards their children. No mercy. Destitute of compassion. Although they know God's righteous decree that those who do such things deserve the death penalty, they not only continue to do these very things, but also approve those who practice them. That's our America. That's our America. God's righteous decree. Here it denotes the declared sentiment of God that such things deserve death. It does not mean his inflictions or his statutes of precepts, but it means that God taught or judged that they which did such things ought to die. Kind of reminds us now of going back into the book of Genesis when God's desire was to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah. Can you see now?
Yeah.
And God destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, and the Bible says he did that to show us what will happen to those who follow that lifestyle, or to those who follow wickedness. And you know, I do not just want to say homosexuality, LGBT, but I want to say all manner of depravity, or perversion, all manner. Because it's not just men with men and men with women. Because today you have men with animals, you have all that mess going on. You have all kinds of mess taking place. Men with children, children with men, fathers with daughters. I mean the whole mess. God just wants to wipe out. When God's judgment is going to have to come upon America. Listen, but I've got to say this to you tonight, that I firmly believe that God has sent warnings after warnings after warnings upon us in the United States of America. His judgment must come upon this nation, but it must begin inside the church. It has to begin in the church. Yes, sister back there.
Pastor Cooper, what you're teaching tonight, as I said, in 2016, because I was a backslider, and then when I came, the Lord gave me a lot of prophecy. In 2016, when we were at Charlotte, so I was getting ready to come to church. I went in the bathroom, put my makeup on, and just as I enter outside, I start getting the prophecy that you're preaching on. And the Lord began to told me with Donald Trump and everything. And he said, it's not the people in the world who are going to do the things that he's going to do. It's the people in the church. And he said, we're going to hear things that our ears are stinging. I wrote it down. I have it home written in a book, because I never used to write down the prophecy. But when I start getting them, then I start writing about what he said is coming.
Yes.
Because what you're teaching tonight is the same thing he said. And he said, he says not the world. It's the people that are in the church that are doing the wrongs. And they don't think that he sees them, but he sees everything that's taking place.
Amen, amen, amen. I thank you so much, Deacon. I know that the Lord gave my wife a word some time ago, and it says, I want you to know that I see everything. And I hear everything. God may look like he is asleep, but he is not asleep. Judgment has to come. This nation has to be judged. Our government, and listen, everything gonna be shaken. Everything. We begin to see some stuff that we have never heard. Our heirs are hearing some stuff our heirs have never heard as children. It's all because God has just abandoned mankind. It's just as if God says, I'm turning my back upon mankind, and I preach this in every funeral. That even though God says, I'm turning my back upon that lifestyle, But God continued to extend His mercies.
Yes.
He continues to extend His mercies. So He says to all who come before me, I will in no wise cast off. So God is giving men opportunities after opportunities to make things right with Him. He's giving us opportunities. He said, I'm giving you another day. Every day we wake up, God is saying, I'm giving you another day to make things right. I'm giving you another day. Get it right, get it right, get it right. Get it right. This morning I'm talking to the Lord and saying, Lord, thank you so much. You're giving us an opportunity to me to love my wife, to love my children, to make things right, to help to light this world. God is giving me an opportunity to do these things. I'm not here to create problems in this world. And our ministry is bigger than just this. Please don't think I am concerned about this building. If all I'm concerned about is this building, I miss what God is trying to say to me. There's a world out there that is lost, confused, it's in trouble. And it's trouble because we, the church, the enemy has pushed us back against the wall. And we just close our mouth. I have that feeling. Chapter 2. Chapter 2. You therefore have, what's in your notes? You have what? No excuse. He's saying to the church in Rome, and he's talking to all of God's people. He says, everybody, nobody has any excuse. No excuse that we could give is valid enough. None. Every excuse is washed. Because God has placed in every single man a conscience. Everybody has a conscience. And everybody knows when something is right and when something is wrong. And what God has done, He has also gave us the gift of the Holy Spirit. And the Holy Spirit job is to show us when something is wrong. And when He shows us our wrong, He shows us, then we have now the choice or to make a what? Decision as to what to do with that wrong. What to do with that wrong. We now has the will to choose. What am I going to do with that wrong? I could choose to numb my conscience or to silence my conscience. Or I can choose to, you know what, let me go and make that right. I'll show you something. The Bible says in Revelation chapter 3 verse 20, behold, I stand at the door and knock. I want you to know that the Holy Spirit is there always knocking. And what happened is that because we numb the heart or we ignore the noise from the knocking, then we build calluses of our hearts. And therefore, the wrong now becomes right. The wrong now becomes right. Does it make it right? No. It's still wrong. But to us, we say it's right. So I am right. You can't live like that, brothers and sisters. And that's what society is saying to our babies. If you feel like you're a girl, then you're a girl. If you feel like you're a boy, then you're a boy. That's what society told them. So if you feel that way, then that's what you are. And our government, and because, you see, that's why it's important to have credible individuals in leadership, people of integrity, because they lead. Remember, these leaders, what? Lead the nation. These leaders are in power. When we vote for these people, and let me close on with this last testimony. I saw your hand up. Give me a minute. I was sitting in a meeting, a bunch of pastors, and one of our leaders came in to give a talk about what he envisioned if he should win the office. And of course, he shared and talking about the good things he's going to do. And one of the pastors over there said, I have one question. There's a bill that's sitting on your desk, that's sitting on the desk that has not been voted upon. I just want to know what your intent is with that bill. And I remember him saying, that bill, I'm not concerned about that bill. I have more important things to do. I am talking about our children getting jobs and housing and all that good stuff. And the clergy that was in the room, but he did not answer the question. What are you going to do with that bill? As soon as he won that office, as soon as he stepped foot in that door, he grabbed his pen, and the first thing that he signed off on was that bill.
Yep.
And he used the remark, hey, I signed the bill. This guy didn't fall apart. So what's the big issue? I said, dummy, you can't play with God. Nebuchadnezzar tried it. You read the book of Daniel.
Yes.
Nebuchadnezzar tried it. He was mad for 7 years. God threw him in because he eat grass like a cow. That's grass he was eating. Yeah. Fingernails grow long like some cloth. I tell you, you don't mess with Almighty God. And I said, brother, we live in this state, Massachusetts. That's why God has me here. He hasn't moved me as yet from here. And he raised up destiny to be a prey. So we will always be a thorn in the flesh. Destiny will always be a thorn in the flesh. And be speaking against these things that the enemy wants to.